I'm Angelica Rose, I'm 21 and I'm from Melbourne, Victoria in Australia. I'm currently in Bali. A week ago I came with a one-way ticket, came fully by myself. I didn't know anyone. This is my story of how the fuck I've got here. So I grew up in a country town. I was a very happy little girl. I loved dancing around in nature, picking flowers, playing dress up. There was a fear of bushfires, so my mum had to take me back down to the city. I was forced to leave my friends, leave my school, leave my home. I had to live with my dad half the time. Staying with my dad wasn't fun. Instead of playing sports or making things, he would lecture me on why I wasn't good enough and how I could improve myself. And with my mum, we didn't have a stable home. We were staying in motels that were unsafe. As a little girl, when I would speak up about my needs and say that I wasn't feeling good, I'd be put down. From being this girl who was full of joy and creativity, I became quiet and anxious. By the end of primary school, I had already been to 4 different schools. I found food as a source of comfort and I was starting to put on a bit of weight, and he got me to eat super healthy food and exercise a lot, which I hated. I'd already had so much pain in my life and I didn't want more of that. Then it got to the point where I started restricting my food by choice. I would have a ritual where I would sit with myself and self-harm to feel something. Somehow it intrigued me and I found a sense of control there. It was an escape from my reality. That started becoming a habit. You know, I remember one day in class, our teachers would get us to write our names, all of the traits we would love to have about ourselves. I didn't feel like I was fun or lively like the other kids, so I wrote that I was a daredevil, I wrote that I was crazy, I wrote that, a thrill seeker and adventurous and bold and fearless and all of these Then went into high school and I went to an all-girls school. This caused me to question my identity, question my gender, my sexuality, and I ended up cutting off all my hair. This was an excuse to get me to a co-ed school that was public. I think for so long that I didn't speak, I found this courage in being able to put war paint on with a lot of makeup and say really bold things and be like, yeah, and I did this many drugs and I'm smoking and I'm 13 and I'm doing all this cool shit. I wanted to be older so bad. I wanted to fit in so bad. So I would do anything crazy to get people's attention, to be noticed. And it worked. I got people's attention. I didn't care about school. I started skipping school. Eventually the teachers asked me to leave. At that point, I started getting on antidepressants. I was diagnosed with depression, anxiety, panic attack disorder, BPD, and an eating disorder. They were chugging me full of medication and getting me to talk about everything that was wrong with myself and all the reasons why I didn't want to live. I had tried DBT, CBT, all of these different types of therapy, and I just ended up getting progressively worse and worse. So I got into crime, because I didn't have any close friends. I had YouTube and social media, and what did I see? I saw a girl with plastic surgery getting fillers, and me thinking oh, I need to look like that because look, they get all this attention, people like them, so that's what I need to look like. I went really in on makeup. I started getting a waist trainer, having slimming teas, and yeah, doing all these things to just change myself because I really felt I wasn't good enough. And it would be like this act. I would put on this facade, and then as soon as I would take my makeup off, I would cut myself and try and kill myself and think about how much I hated myself in the world. And then eventually my mum took me to see this kinesiologist. She was scrambling to try and find something to make me better. And I had put up all of these boundaries of all of these facades and alter egos to protect myself from this little girl who just wanted to be loved. He somehow took away all of my boundaries. He just unlocked Pandora's box of emotion. That caused me to start having panic attacks, sometimes up to 5 hours a day, to the point that I would end up in psychosis and need to go to hospital and be hurting myself and other people. That was my life for about a year. Me and my mom, my psychiatrist finally diagnosed me with ADHD. I got medicated for that, but I was on stimulants and antipsychotics. Fantastic mix. I started having really debilitating physical illness as well as mental illness. You know, majority of my day I was spent hunched in a ball, rocking back and forth. Be 35 degrees in summer and I would be freezing cold, or it'd be winter and I would be sweating. My skin was breaking out. I couldn't eat properly. I couldn't digest food. I had IBS. I had awful stomach pains. I was constantly in chronic pain. My body hurt so badly. It hurt to lie on my side. It hurt to sleep. I wasn't sleeping well. I was seeing a doctor and he was trying to get me to stretch, and I was doing mind gut therapy, you know, went on a FODMAP diet for IBS. Yeah, it got to the point where my psychiatrist had one other option, and that was to see this hypnotherapist. For the first time when I met him, I started telling my backstory and he didn't give a shit about it. And that was surprising. He was so honest, he was so blunt. He didn't care why I was sick. All he wanted to focus on was how I could get better. He gave me an ultimatum. He said I had two options. I could either go back to high school, or I could spend the rest of my life in a psych ward, drugged up on medication. And I chose to go back to high school. For the first time, he gave me a choice. I had a voice. No one had ever given me a choice about what I wanted to do in my life. I'd been rebelling against what everyone told me to do. And by me choosing to go back to high school, I chose to live. The power was finally back in my hands. Came across Grey's Anatomy. It was about surgeons, and I was like, cool, I'm gonna go back to high school and I'm gonna become a surgeon. The alternative's death, so fuck, let's give this a try. Because I had tried killing myself so many times and that hadn't worked. I hadn't done science since year 8. I was like, yeah, let's do VC, chemistry, biology, psych, and English. I came across this book called Anatomy of the Spirit by Caroline Myss. I was literally sitting on the toilet. I read the first page and I don't think I put the book down until it was finished. I left the toilet and went to my room and read it, but like, you get the point. It changed my perspective on everything. Talking about how you could heal yourself, about spirituality, about Christianity, about Buddhism, about Hinduism, and learning about faith and reasons why we're here and what our purpose is. For the first time, I had hope and I was holding on to that with dear life, and that carried me. That this thing of hope and solutions gave me a way out. And my health started getting better, and as my health started getting better, I started making friends in high school, almost feeling like I started to belong and have a bit of a community there. And I wasn't this outsider anymore, and as I started to make friends, I came across psychedelics. I remember that I took acid once with this girl, and we went to this guy's place. There was all of these people there, and I couldn't talk to a single person except for my friend because I didn't know what to talk about. I didn't have any interests. All I knew was illness. I went home and I started a journal, and I called it The Journey to Getting to Know Myself. I wrote down all of my fears. I wrote down all of my beliefs. I wrote down all the things I liked, all the things I didn't like, all the things I loved, all the things I hated. And I started journaling every day and really went into self-discovery about who the fuck I was, about my past, and trying to rewrite it. And I started writing affirmations each day of how I would like to feel. And what happened, I started really excelling in school. It got to the end of high school and I actually started feeling a lot better about myself, to the point that I decided to come off my medication. I replaced that with lion's mane, and that really made a huge difference on my life. Took a gap year. And in that gap year, I started working, I started bartending, and I started going to the gym. And I met a personal trainer, and he worked with me for 6 months. And oh my God, that did wonders for my confidence. I fell in love with the gym. I spent so much time trying new things, different types of sports, different types of creative projects. I was sewing, I was drawing, I was tattooing. Then I went back to uni and I getting my personal training certification. I started working as a personal trainer. It was really cool, helping people to move and stuff. I met this guy. He was doing a backpacking trip to India. And I was like, do you want to come with me and my girlfriend? And I was like, crazy. At this point, I'd never been out of Australia. I'd never been on a plane by myself. I worked my ass off as a PT and saved up, I think, $5,000 or so to be able to do a 2-month backpacking trip in India. Yeah, I did a week by myself in Goa, which was the home, literally the birthplace of Psytrance, and it was beautiful. I got adopted by people for the first time in India. I was on the street and people were smiling at me. They were wanting to get to know me. They were inviting me to these homes, and I never felt this sense of community and love ever before. They didn't even know who I was, and they were welcoming me. I met up with this couple. We had different needs and wants, and I was like, no, I really need to do this by myself, experience what life is like with when I get to have a say, I get to have a voice and choose my life. I found Women's Fitness Academy, and I was certified as a personal trainer, and I wanted to learn more. I wanted to understand more, so I ended up signing up to go to this retreat in Bali and getting my nutrition certification. Eventually, I came across this Ayurvedic doctor, and she pieced together everything from my mental health, from my physical health, from my childhood trauma. So I came back to Melbourne with these meditations to do, with this breath work to do, with a whole kilo of herbs and a new nutrition vibe thing for me to follow along with. As soon as I got home, I saw my friend from high school. We took some shrooms. Then we went to St. Kilda Festival. Yeah, we spent a lot of time together talking about spirituality, and I got her hooked on Caroline Myss, and we started microdosing. We microdosed 4 days on, 3 days off for 8 months. Within 8 months, I got to know every crevice of that little girl in Daylesford. Allowed me to nurture her and care for her and finally be able to heal my mental and physical health. Build really balanced habits with my training and with my nutrition, be kind to my body. Change my mindset and clear out all of the things from the past that were no longer serving me. Shed all of that old trauma, come to love myself and truly be the person that I was meant to be as a little girl. Gave me health. It allowed me to apply all of the things that I had read from these books, of the things that all these psychologists and psychiatrists had told me to do. I ended up going on this retreat in Bali. It was health and fitness heaven. Being around so many gyms and access to clean food, it was like, wow, it is so easy to be healthy here. Hive mind of people who were focused on being happy, on looking after themselves, of their body and their mind, and really being able to make the most of this life and be passionate about things and have drive and purpose and help other people. I came back from this retreat in Bali and went in on spirituality. So we were doing Joe Dispenza meditation for an hour, visualizing what we wanted our lives to look like. We were feeling how we wanted to feel in these lives. We created vision boards of everything we would like in our lives. We were writing daily intentions of everything of how we wanted to feel that day. And what happened when we would write down those things, we would be feeling those things throughout that day. We spent 4 days writing down 5,000 things we wanted. 4 days was about 32 hours of consistent writing. I didn't do my work, I didn't go to uni, I didn't do anything except write. Our hands were so fucking sore afterwards. Each month we recorded how we wanted our lives to look like and how we wanted our lives, how we wanted to feel in these lives, and we would listen to it every single morning. We were programming ourselves, I choose to live this life. And then shit changed when I started visualizing specific things that I wanted to bring in. Specific things, and feeling what it would be like, and going over the actions again and again and again of a certain thing. And I asked for $20,000 and I got it. We got 3 weeks in Thailand. There was this event on my friend's birthday and we were like, let's go to it, and then we were able to make it happen. We did 3 weeks in Thailand, and then on the layover from in Singapore from Thailand to Melbourne, I booked my one-way ticket to Bali.